What's going on, guys? I am going to do a live broadcast here. I try to let you guys know on Instagram, so hopefully some people might be able to, I guess, find out all that good stuff. And you can join me on this live chat, talk about airplanes, plane talk is what I'm calling this. And really, I just want to kind of answer questions, talk about different things, and just see what you guys would like to talk about. Last Q&A I did, some people recommended that I try to do a live and try to let you guys know. I tried to figure out how to do a little bit of this on YouTube to try to send out a little email to everyone, but I couldn't figure that out. So Instagram is what it was. And if you guys can, share this as much as you can, hit this like and subscribe button, and hopefully we can go from there. But you guys can shoot away on all the questions that you might have. Kind of disclaimer, this is all my own opinion. I'm not going to really talk about, a ton of things that who I work for, the names and stuff like that. But I'll try to answer as much questions as we can about airplanes and how you guys can get started flying. What direction maybe it might be best to take as a student pilot trying to come up and make a career out of this. So what's up, Anthony? I appreciate you watching and everything. So you guys feel free. I made a little cheat sheet here. Try to give me a little guidance on what to talk about. I don't want to kind of rush through this so we can get more subscribers and people to watch and listen and shoot away on questions, like I said. So is my home base Teterboro? No, it is not. I'm Dayton based. I live about 35 minutes from Dayton Airport. So the company I work for, we're home based. You can almost live anywhere. So what that means is that I could be Columbus-based, Dayton, Cincinnati, Lexington, Kentucky, or anything like that. So kind of depends where you live, but not every airport is a home base, but pretty much anything that has airline travel, you can be home-based. So Dayton is mine since it's so close to my house. Right now I'm at my hangar where I keep my airplanes, my biplanes and things. If you guys haven't really been following me, probably don't know, but I do have an antique biplane ride business called Good Folk and Old Time Biplane Rides. I have two antique biplanes, and that's what I do. I hop rides, and I keep the airplanes here. It's called the Dewey drone. So I just had someone ask a question about Lexington. I haven't flown into Lexington in a while, but yes, we fly into Lexington. We fly in about every airport anybody wants to fly into, we go to. 4,000 plus feet or more, we're pretty much there. If it's in the mountains or the islands or wherever, corporate jets can fly pretty much any place. You make sure you have the performance requirements to fly into those places, and you kind of go from there. So I haven't been in Lexington, but you know what? I'm only 2.5 hour drive away, and I go into Louisville every once in a while. Lexington, what's the town that's just a little bit northeast of Lexington where they build Toyota trucks? Georgetown, I think it is, or something like that. I've been in there also. I want to give a little shout out. I'm going to miss a lot of people, but Jackson, these are Instagram guys or kids also, and up and coming pilots. But they also have some pretty cool YouTube channels. But Jackson Fields, you guys can look him up on Instagram. He has some really cool stuff. I met Caleb last week in Dulles. He's flying a Bravo, Citation Bravo, and a CJ, I believe. But, he's 22 years old. Pretty awesome. Hey there, Latina Salsa. Anthony, flying a beach jet out of Richmond, Virginia. Met him last year at Oshkosh. Pretty awesome. Young kid also. A lot of these younger pilots coming up, it's pretty cool to see, they're teenagers or low 20s and 30s, and they're working hard and getting where they want to be. So my buddy Joe out in Van Nuys works at Signature, and Matt, there's a couple Matts, one up in Canada, there's Matt over in Orlando, and a whole bunch of people. Well, last week I was at Sun and Fun. I haven't produced any videos. I went Sun and Fun on Friday and Saturday. Had a great time. If you guys never been to a fly-in like that, Sun and Fun or Oshkosh. Oshkosh is a whole different ball game, but Sun and Fun is awesome, especially if you live up here in Ohio, in the northern states where you're getting beat down all year long in the winter with snow and cold, windy. It's crappy weather, I'm telling you. But Sun and Fun, I've been 3 years in a row, and the good thing about it, I just go down there and recuperate at 80-degree weather. Got bit by some fire ants. They tore up my left foot. Oh my goodness. I thought I was going to have to go to the emergency room. It swelled up like a balloon. But I'm good now thanks to Benadryl and some other rubbing ointments and things like that. So, Billina, hey, thank you. I appreciate it also. I appreciate you guys watching all my stuff. It is a lot of work trying to do videos, and then, you know, I'm working full time and then have families, you know, some family issues, and then trying to keep this business going with my biplane rides. It's a lot of work. So I'm going to try to keep it entertaining and keep it fun for you guys, but also inspirational, and keep you guys going forward and upward and all that good stuff. So there are some other people to shout out, but I can't remember everybody. There's some people from the UK, from Australia. I mean, it's been all around the world. It's been pretty crazy. Speaking about Oshkosh or Sun and Fun, I went to Sun and Fun, like I said, last Friday and Saturday, and I had a number of people come up that's been watching my videos and things, and it's pretty cool, very inspirational for me. But just hearing them talk and how inspirational it is for them to keep moving forward off of these videos. That's the goal. Keep you guys going, because if I can do it, believe me, you can do it. And we'll talk about that today also a little bit, like what my career consisted of, how I started. I've talked about some of this stuff in other videos, but I'm really going to kind of elaborate on that. One thing, you know, I learned back in high school, so that's 25 years ago. Things are a lot cheaper than it is now. So it's a lot different financially to get into what you guys are really trying to get into. But I'll try to help you out. You guys can also contact Carl Valeri. He's Stuck Mike podcaster. He has a business that is for coaching up-and-coming pilots and people that want to get interviews and things like that. So look him up, Carl Valeri, Stuck Mike podcast. He did a podcast with me last year. We are doing, you know, great things. You know, he does great things, and it's really cool. So I'm trying to read a couple of these comments, and they keep disappearing. So I'm going to end up reading those here in a little bit. Let me see if I can pull them back up here. All right. So landing fees, do you pay? And your boss reimburse you, or does your boss pay? All right. Well, that's pretty easy. Landing fees, I don't, you know, when you work for a company, corporate company, 135 or whatever, you don't really deal with that. A lot of stuff's called direct billing. So when you go to an airport and buy fuel, I never pull out a credit card and have to pay for fuel. It's just direct bill to your airline or your company that you're working for. And that's how that's done. If I had to deal with that, which sometimes when I was working at USA Jet Airlines back in Detroit, sometimes we'd go in places and we carried a multi-service card, which is you know, pretty much a credit card, and you're able to give this multi-service, and then they would bill your company that way. But I never have to pay my personal landing fees or a landing fee out of my personal money. I would never be able to do that. And especially flying, you know, bigger aircraft, corporate jets, I can't even imagine what a landing fee would be in the airports like Teterboro or LaGuardia, Los Angeles, you know, LAX or something like that. So that's something that I don't have to deal with. I'm trying to read here. How do I handle turbulence? He's a student pilot, but it creeps me out so sad, badly that lets you go and hates. Okay, so hey Sam, you know, starting out with turbulence and different things like that, yeah, it creeps out people. I've been flying for so many years. It doesn't really creep me out, especially in an airline. I know the training that a lot of these pilots been through. We go after training, you know, every 6 months we go to training in a sim, and you go through procedures and things like that. It's just something I'm used to, but my recommendation is you need to go watch a movie that Bob Hoover, they put out about Bob Hoover about maybe 3 or 4 years ago. It's called On the Feathered Edge. Well, I went to a debut here in Dayton at the National Museum of the United States Air Force. Bob Hoover came. He was telling us when he started flying, he was airsick every flight. He would fly for a little bit, get so sick he would lose control of the airplane, start throwing up, and have to land. But he kept doing it over and over and over and over every day. And you know what happened? He ended up getting a lot better. It's like an aerobatic pilot. If Patty Wagstaff or Rob Holland would go out after about a 4 or 5 month rest, and then they go out and start doing extreme aerobatics, they would actually probably get sick. Okay, so it's like conditioning for any sport, soccer, football, basketball. You have to condition yourself into it. So try your best to just keep doing it and flying as much as you can. And then once you start learning the aerodynamics of the airplane, knowing that it's not going to drop out of the sky, and you're not going to be so afraid and so scared of flying. And that's my recommendation. I do recommend, as I instructed a little bit, I have a couple, I don't know, maybe a couple hundred hours instructing people. I always tell people, you're flying the airplane, don't let the airplane fly you. I've seen so many times that people are out flying the airplane and the wind gets them and they get in a gusty situation and they kind of just flip out and they don't know what to do. Well, what you have to do, you have to fly that airplane. Never stop flying the aircraft. And I've seen it happen from very experienced people to very, low-time pilots also. Thanks for visiting the channel. Hope to see you at Oshkosh. I hope to see you at Oshkosh also. You'll be there for General Aviation News? Yep. Well, pretty awesome. Thanks, Arthur. I don't know if you can see, but in the background there, I can show you that later, but I was on the cover of General Aviation News back in, I think it's 2016, November issue. I was on the cover in the center article about a barnstorming event that I do, and it's pretty awesome. I really appreciate you guys supporting my business and running that article and supporting General Aviation altogether, because without General Aviation, we wouldn't have any aviation. All right. Let me see if I missed any other comments. Yep. No problem, Sam. Where do you live at, Sam, if you can say? One person asked on one of my videos, it's kind of funny, but I have a scar right here. So I wrote this down on my note, but they asked what the scar was from, and they were joking, like, did I fall off my bicycle? Well, actually, it was a bicycle accident. I was probably 8, 9 years old, 10 years old. I was a pretty active kid, and I was supposed to be resting or taking a nap, and I snuck outside, and I had a rope in a tree. I was swinging from tree to tree like Tarzan, and I actually hit the ground with my feet. It dragged me to the ground, and right below me was my bicycle and the handlebars without the handle grip on it, and the handlebar hit me square right here, and lucky it didn't kill me or go through my eye. But yeah, it hit me pretty good. Had to go to the hospital and get stitches right there. But that was, like I said, that's a long time ago. That's nothing. I did stuff like that all the time. But being a kid, playing, we didn't have video games like all the millennials do, and they just play video games and on their phone. My playing was riding, motorbikes and climbing trees and playing Tarzan and stuff like that, So that's what we need to do a little bit more often, to be honest with you. I wish I could still do it. Let's see here. Do you have advice achieving your goals as a pilot? Of course I do. Brayden, so, okay, Sam, I see you're out in Nellis. Hey, if I ever get out there, I'll let you know. That's, isn't that Vegas? Nellis is in Vegas. I'm out there 2 or 3 times a year personally, but, if I'm ever out there, even on a trip, we go into North Las Vegas and we go into McCarran also. So it's not too far from Nellis. So advice for being a pilot. I got a lot of advice, and I don't know if it's the right stuff, but one thing, you can also write me on like my Instagram or just reach out to me. I'm very open. If I have time, I'll talk to you on the phone. So don't hesitate to write me, and or just call me if you can figure out my number and stuff like that. You can just message me. I'll send you my number. And like I said, I'm not up on everything, but I can give you some pretty good advice. And then you can go elsewhere and start looking for different flight schools and things like that. I don't know, kind of go that way. So there's two different ways you can learn. Well, there's a lot of different ways you can learn. So you can learn military. That's go through a flight school through the military, Air Force Academy, and then, or even if you don't do that, you can go to a guard unit or something. I don't know a lot about that because I come a strictly civilian. But you can learn Part 61, FAR Part 61, or you can learn Part 141 program. So, Milton, I've never seen a UFO, but man, I tell you, if I ever do, and hope we catch it, because I know travel will be a lot faster than what we're going right now. But Part 61 is probably one of the best intros to getting into flying. I learned under Part 61. I learned in a 1946 J3 Cub, right up the road here at Red Stewart Airfield. You guys can Google Red Stewart, or you can look them up, but it's in Waynesville. They rent Cubs, Champs, Taylor Crafts. They even have a Stearman that they can rent out. But you can get your private instrument commercial with them. It's a grass runway, very inexpensive compared to what most of the flight schools are today. I highly recommend them because you're going to learn how to fly tailwheel airplanes. I'm old school. I learned in tail draggers and things like that, and I'm very adamant about teaching people in tailwheel. If you can learn in tailwheel, go learn in tailwheel. You'll learn the stick and rudder skills and how to fly an airplane, and then we can go into the other stuff. You can fly a Cessna or a Cherokee or the Diamonds or Cirruses, and you can start learning the avionics and navigational stuff that's a little bit more advanced. But I'm old school. It was compass, rudder pedals, hill brakes, and a stick, and the fuel gauge was a cork with a wire coming out of the fuel tank. Back then I learned it was $26 an hour to learn how to fly in a Cub, and I think the instructor was only 13, so it's a lot different right now. So Part 61, you have to have a minimum of 40 hours, and then I would think that nationally average is probably around 55 to 60 hours before you get your license. And another thing that people just don't solo, these instructors aren't soloing people like they used to solo when I was soloing. I had 7 hours when I soloed a Cub. And I had 7 hours because the flight before, it was like 30 knot gusty winds. My instructor wouldn't solo me. So now, there's a lot of kids soloing with 20 plus hours, and I don't really know. I haven't been in the instructor role heavily like that to where I have to really fly with a student. Also, I never had to deal with air traffic control. I learned in a Class G airspace, non-controlled airport. So it's a lot different than what most of these flight schools are being, offered in. So anyway, Part 61 is one way you can learn. Part 141 is the other way. 141 is a more structured syllabus type training. You only need 35 hours to get your private and only 190 hours to get your commercial. After I got my private, I went and got my instrument and commercial through Part 141. Right up the road in Wilmington, they used to have a flight school, and I went and did that. I learned in a Tomahawk, Piper Tomahawk, and a Cherokee 140 for my instrument, I believe. And then I got my commercial in a Aztec, Piper Aztec, and a Arrow. So I did the 141 program just for my advanced training, but I think initially going Part 61 is not a bad thing. Another bit of advice, if you can get in a 150 or something like that, go in an airplane as cheap as possible. You don't need a Garmin 1000 or G1000. You don't need Collins ProLine 21 or anything in your airplane to learn how to fly. You need to learn the basics, so get something that has what you need. You don't need a glass cockpit or anything like that. If they offer a 172 for $40 or $50 cheaper, take that and then go into the more advanced aircraft once you get your license and learn what's going on. Because you don't need to trying to deal with all the avionics and the advanced stuff like that to, really to waste your time. You're wasting your time and money if you're going into an airplane like a Cirrus. If you're spending $250 an hour compared to $120 that you could be spending in 150 or a 172, take the 172 first, learn how to fly, and then you can go fly that Cirrus. Okay, that is really a big advice. Flight schools, there's a lot of colleges that offer this type of program. So Embry-Riddle, obviously, UND, here in Dayton, Ohio, Sinclair Community College has a really large flight school. They learn at Dayton Wright Brothers at aviation sales, but it's a the 141 program is very structured, very syllabus type training, and it works. Another thing it does teach you also is be a little bit more professionalism. More into the standard operating procedures. You'll get a pre-brief, you'll get your flight, and then you'll get a debrief about your flight. Those elements are very important. When you're under Part 61, sometimes you may not have that structure, but still, under Part 61, you're still going to learn, and you could take time. You may only be able to fly once a week, and learning under Part 61, that might be the best thing to do. Part 141 programs, where they benefit, when I went for my instrument commercial, I flew 5 times a week and sometimes twice a day. And that really was a benefit, especially when you're doing instrument. You can just go and shoot approaches, missed approach, come back, debrief, right? Pre-brief your next lesson, which a 141 program strictly has, this syllabus. At lesson 5, you're going to do this. You're going to shoot an ILS. You're going to shoot a GPS. You're going to do a missed approach. You're going to do a hold. You're going to do 2 or 3 holds or something like that. So it's very structured, and then you get a grade. I forget exactly. I mean, it's been forever, but satisfactory or whatever. And that kind of stuff really kind of it works. If you go into the military, I wish I knew more about it. One of the kids, I did have someone just write, did I ever fly model airplanes? Yes, I did. So I started building models when I was 7 years old, and then I built a radio-controlled airplane when I was 10. Back then you had to build everything. So it was a box of wood and blueprints, and I built it, and then we flew it here in Jamestown, Ohio. A guy that lives here in Jamestown taught me how to fly. And that's really where I built my whole career, is off of models. But I taught this kid how to fly years ago. Well, now he's an Air Force pilot, and he's doing very, very well. He actually flies a U-2. Very, very proud of this kid. But to me, he's a kid, but he's a grown man that's flying one of the most prestigious airplanes, top secret airplanes in the world. And, I got to be a part of his life, man, when was this? 20 plus years ago. So it's pretty cool. But that's kind of the advice I have for flying, I guess, how to be a pilot. It takes a lot of work. There's no question it's going to take a lot of work. Some of the people wrote comments in my videos. I make my videos like, you're going to get your license and you're just going to pop up and you're going to get this great job, right? And you're going to get paid all this money. It doesn't happen that way. Some people get it and some don't. Back 25, 30 years ago, even longer, the aviation community was hurting. There was a lot of pilots, mostly because of probably like Vietnam era, and those pilots are now going into the airlines, and they kind of filled up the slots. Well, now they're retiring at 65 years old, So now we're hurting on pilots. And why we're also hurting is the expense to be a pilot. When you have to spend $50,000, $60,000, it's such a huge investment for anything like that. It's hard to really come up with that kind of money to learn how to be a pilot. And then once you get that, that doesn't mean you're going to get a job, right? So you have to work and you have to get your experience to become a pilot like that. How I end up learning, like I told you, I learned in Piper Cub. And before we go, I'll probably try to show you. I have a Rohnke Champ, 1947 Champ here. 65 horsepower, no electric. You have to hand prop the engine. That's what I learned in. Very, very basic, fabric covered aircraft. Then I went to the flight school. I got my instrument. I got my commercial, got my multi-commercial. And then I left and I went here to Xenia, Ohio, at Skydive Greene County, something I drove by every day to go from where I grew up to Xenia. They had a skydiving facility there. Well, once I got my commercial, I went over there and asked for a job. And eventually I started flying a Beech 18, an E-model Beech 18. I had just over 250 hours. And then they had a Cessna 180. I was flying a Cessna 180 in the Beech almost every day. And by the end of the year, I was flying a Twin Otter, a big turbine Twin Otter aircraft. And then for the 4 years I was there, 4.5 years, I pretty much flew the Beech and the Otter, and then the last 2 years I started flying a Casa 212, if you guys know what that is. Looks like a little C-130, but I got a type rating in the the C-130, the C-212, Casa 212. And a guy that gave me my type rating, he was actually a retired Air Force special ops pilot. He was a designated examiner, gave me my check ride. After my second year of flying, he says, you need to get out of this job and before you get a violation or something like that. Yeah, me be Whaley, you're right, buddy. The Avro car, it's an awesome airplane. But Alan said, you need to get out of this job. You need to contact my friend. And this friend is head of training at USA Jet Airlines up in Ypsilanti, Michigan. So I contacted this guy. His name was Randy. I said, hey, Randy, this guy told me to give you a call, and I've been flying a Casa. At that time, I had a little over 3,000 hours, and most of it was all turbine multi-engine PIC. So I went up to USA Jet, interviewed with them. They hired me. I was 25 years old. I was a FO in a Falcon, Falcon 20. Flew that around, and we flew auto parts mostly. So any place where it was automotive plant, we go up to Michigan. We go all down into Mexico City, Toluca, Hermosillo, every place like that. After a year, I got to upgrade. So then I became a Falcon captain. I was an instructor a little bit, ground instructor with cockpit flows, and we called it a CTD training, cockpit training device. So I taught checklist procedures and kind of company SOPs and things like that. And I would have to say that USA Jet had really good training. You learned the airplane very well, and another thing you did, you flew the heck out of those airplanes. Because they're old 1960s aircraft, you actually had to fly them. You would shoot an ILS and have to hand fly an NDB in a jet, and that was pretty good stuff. So after flying the Falcon for 3.5 years or whatever, actually it was 4 years, I started flying DC-9s. And I was a co-pilot in DC-9 for like 3 years, and then I got to upgrade. And right when I upgraded, I got hired with my current company, and that was in 2008. So I flew it in 2008, and then in 2009, the economy was already bad. I pretty much got furloughed from my current job. And when I was furloughed, I went in some government contract work. And my model airplane experience from when I was a kid got me these jobs. And I'm not going to talk about it a lot, especially publicly, but I did some really cool things with the government, with the military, and not a lot of people get to do stuff like that. So my model airplane experience, the friends I met flying model airplanes helped me get these jobs, and it's worked out really well. So I did that for like 4 years. And then I wanted to do the biplane ride business. I've been wanting to own my own biplane ride business since I was a kid. And in 2013, I was able to buy this Travel Air. Actually, I'll show you guys. I didn't even plan this, but see this airplane right there? That's 1929. And like I said, I learned with antique airplanes, I'm about antique airplanes. I'm not really all about this new corporate jet, business jet stuff, but it's a job. I got to do it. I got to learn it. But I like history and old school stuff. And that's kind of where, how it all, how my whole career is. I'm not sure what the next step is, which direction I'm going to go, if I'll end up quitting and going to a major or something like that, or just quitting and doing my biplane ride business full time. But, right now, you guys see my videos. The corporate stuff is very busy right now. It's a good life, and kind of go from there. Now, I haven't looked at any comments, so let me scroll back. I'm going to look at some of this stuff here. Hello, Dennis from SRQ, and I think that's Fort Myers. I'm there quite a bit. Some messages have been retracted, which that's good. If they were bad, don't make any bad comments. Matt McCurdy, do you ever fly radio controlled planes? If that, playing like video games. Yeah, Matt McCurdy, he's messing with me. I used to work with Matt. He's a good buddy of mine, and I believe he's flying a Casa right now. The Casa 212, the little mini C-130 is what I call it. John, is it Ballard? Yes. I go to Austin. I don't go to Austin a lot, but I've been to Austin. So I end up meeting Jacob Wilder, I think is his last name. But I met Jacob a couple times. Good guy, good kid. And I believe he's just got a new job. So these young guys are coming up like 20 to 25 years old, getting these nice corporate jobs. These guys should be making these videos. And another thing about you YouTube guys, you guys are calling me or writing me messages, ask for advice. And then when you ask me for advice, I find out you're like 19 years old and you already have a type rating in a jet and you're making a living. You don't need any advice from me. I need advice from you. You're already doing it. You know what I'm saying? You guys are just doing, great things. Hello, Isaiah from Beaver Creek, Ohio, which is right next door. Isaiah is my buddy, owns a really nice hobby shop over there called MTS Toys and Hobbies. Make your own business bigger, hire me. With pilot, okay, that sounds like a plan to me. Adam, that's Adam. Adam, you don't have a pilot license. I can't hire you. I guess you can mow my grass or something. Here's Evan. He's 24-year-old pilot, wants to be a private pilot, go into private aviation. Shall go to the airlines first, gig, twin, prop, work my way up. Yes, you have to. Okay, Evan. Here's the little bit of advice I can give you. Get your ratings, and then while you're getting those ratings, meet as many people as you can, because it's not what you know, it's who you know, okay? People you shake hands with, they give you those breaks. Those guys are the ones with the airplanes, hopefully. They'll give you an opportunity and allow you to progress in your career. You can be a co-pilot or something like that, right around in a King Air 350 right seat or something, work the radios, fly every other leg, get to log maybe SIC if it's a two-crew environment. But yes, do that. Right now, if you guys aren't interested in going to a regional, I would have to say you're crazy. Back 25 years ago, a regional sucked, okay? It was a really bad gig. Now, they're hiring people, giving you bonuses. They are begging people to come and work for them. I talked to Randy at USA Jet a couple weeks ago. I was going to make a video about it, but I need to work on more facts. But pretty much, they're hiring anybody that can fog a mirror. Do you understand what I mean? If you have a heartbeat and you can fog a mirror, you can get hired. All you have to do is meet these minimums. So you get your ratings and you fly as much as you can. Go buy an airplane with some friends and just fly a Cherokee 140 as much as you can, or a Cessna 150, and fly across the country as much as possible to get your 1,500 hours, get your ATP, And you can go into PSA, you can go into these SkyWest, Air Wisconsins, and actually make a living wage now. That is something that was not possible 15, 20 years ago. They hire you and pay you $20,000 a year, and you got a kid and family and all this. It just was not possible. But now you're getting close to 50,000 bucks probably starting out. That is the way to go. If you can get in with a regional, and right now at Sun and Fun, I don't want to promote these guys that much, but I was walking around with Caleb and we were listening to one of the airlines. You get airline privileges, okay? If you don't have your time right now and you give them, I guess, some kind of contract saying you're going to do it, all you have to do is like check in like once a month. They call you and give you a kind of like a meeting on your progress, okay? You get airline privileges. I believe you get a seniority number. I believe you get medical insurance. You know, you'd have to check on a little bit more of this, but also possible 401k, and you're not even on property. You don't even have the time. So that, how could you not go and do that? Then you can go and do that, get your time up, and then you can make your decision. If you want to leave that and go somewhere else, you can stay with them. But by the time you're there for probably 3 or 4 years, you're going to be a captain. And guess what? You're going to make a lot more money. You're going to have a much better life. And you're going to be like, you know what? I'm going to just stay here. That's what's going to happen right now. It is the economy in the pilot world is so bad. The demand is so high and the supply is so low. Okay. That's a little bit of advice I can tell you. When I end up getting hired with my current company, they were saying they averaged 4,500 hours of total time for you to get hired at that time. That's how competitive it was when I got hired 10 years ago, okay? Now, like I said, if you can get your ATP and you go to these regionals, you're gonna get just as much money and you only need 1,500 hours. So that's what Randy at USA Jet told me. He said the problem that they're having at USA Jet, these captains are coming over with no PIC time and they type these guys right into a DC-9. Once they get a little bit of time and they meet their ATP mins, they leave like the very next day. So it's very hard for companies right now to keep pilots. So pay has to go up. That's why these regionals are paying so much, giving you these crazy bonuses, okay? I remember back in Comair days, I interviewed with Comair and you had to pay for your own training. That's crazy. So which regional was this in by MB? That was, I believe it was Air Wisconsin. Are they a United carrier? Like I said, you get jump seat privileges for free. You can go start jump seating with your family. To me, that's for crazy. Thanks for your time and concern, Evan. Hey, thanks. If you get more questions, shoot me up or hit me up. Come on over. Burles, Texas, Spinks Airport. I don't think I've ever been there. Is that Marcus, Dwayne Marcus? I don't think I've ever been there. All right. So any other questions you guys have? Comments? What do you guys want to talk about? NB, when I was at Sun and Fun, I took pictures of Air Wisconsin. Everyone was there at Sun and Fun. If you guys haven't noticed, if you get on Facebook right now, every regional is trying, they have Facebook ads out. Okay, they're looking for pilots that bad. On a personal email, I had a recruiter write me and asked if I would mention that they're having a career day at Sun and Fun. They're hurting that bad. So PSA was there, and I know PSA because you're here in Dayton. A lot of my friends are working at PSA right now, and quite a few of them been getting upgraded very, very quick. I just did a OBAP, Organization of Black Professional Aviation or Aerospace Engineers. I did that at Ohio State, and I sat beside a Delta captain. He's been at Delta for 3 years. He's a captain in Airbus. 3 years. I'm 10 years, and I'm an FO. So if you could get on with Delta, can you imagine the life that you can live? And if you look at an airline like that, I mean, their branding is so good right now. It's a very, very good market for any of that. Okay. So I kind of answered all my questions that I had, and I've kind of taken this a lot longer than I thought I would. But if you guys keep asking questions, sorry if this isn't a great question. Do you think that college and flight schools are doable currently, or do you want a better idea? John, this is a real tough question. I mean, I don't want to say don't go and take college and get your college degree, because for a major, that's what's being required. Pretty soon, they may drop all that, because it's all about experience right now. Who cares if you have a college degree, in my opinion? Because you're not going to get hired. You don't have your ATP. And right now, they need ATP pilots. For me, I don't have a college degree. I have about 90 credits with a community college. You watch one of my videos, I tell people I have a PhD. It's pride, hustle, and desire. So I did go to school after high school. I got my real estate license when I was 19. I worked at Pizza Hut and then McDonald's. And then I said, man, I got to do this flight school thing. And my parents paid for that. And that's kind of was my college. I already had a game plan how I was going to get this flight time, which was, I wanted to fly skydivers or do something in that sense to build up my flight time, and I was lucky enough to get that. But that's a hard question, buddy. I don't want to say don't go to college, because that's going to help you get to that ultimate job. That job's going to be better than the other jobs, the UPSs and the FedExes. That's paying $170,000 after 12 months, right? As a co-pilot, gets you with Delta, things like that. But you can go to Southwest, you can go to United, American, possibly, even possibly without a degree. So I don't want to say do one or the other. We all have a different route. Our roads for every pilot is different. So you have to pick and choose how you want to take this road and which turn to make. That is one of the major advices I can give anybody. You just don't know. So that's a hard one. If you like school and you enjoy it, go to school. You can get your degree in anything. You don't have to have it in aviation, but you can get in aviation, do a professional pilot program, get done, get your CFI, maybe train in the school that you're in, and then when you're done, man. When you get out of that school, hopefully you have enough total time. You can get on with a regional or something, and sky's the limit. Okay, and that's kind of how that would work. So yeah, I see my buddy Terry. He's on Facebook. He said he's trying to find me on YouTube, but he couldn't find me. So I'm not quite sure why it's not showing up as a live stream. But what do you guys? Here's some other ones. Okay, is a novel. Dewey. I'm currently at ATP, PDK. 4 months left. I have option of instructing with ATP and coming back at my home state of Michigan, huh? Instructing at my mom and pop's shop. Okay, what would you suggest? Well, I can give you some good suggestions on this one. Far aim, you want to help your mom and dad out, no matter what, right? But what do you want to do? What's your goals? Because, okay, you get your ATP or you get your CFI. Now you can get hired at ATP. Is that what you're saying? Or you can go back to Michigan. And I stayed in Ypsilanti, so I was on the southern latitudes of Michigan there. The weather sucks. You're not going to fly much. So you're not going to get a lot of flight time real quick. So that is another big thing. It depends on KB better. Goes a little bit lower on the latitude and go to Florida. But I would say, PTK is very busy. Every time I'm in there flying, there's always people training and things like that. And I don't know. I got my CFI, I had 1,000 hours, okay? The only reason I got my CFI, I won $1,600 playing blackjack at the casino down in Indiana on a riverboat with my buddy, Danny. And when I came back, I went to this examiner and said, hey, can you do my CFI for this much money? And he trained me, and then they signed me off to take my check ride with the feds. And that is how I got my CFI, and that's the only reason I got it. I'm glad I have it and things like that, but I didn't have to do my CFI to get my flight time up. Like I said, I had 1,000 hours, and at that time I had probably 700 hours multi-engine. So I don't know the advice on that, man. Your parents probably want you to be up there to help out, I'm sure, right? So maybe help them out. It's a small school, yeah. Problem with schools nowadays at county airports, they're small and they're struggling, they're trying to make it, and I just don't, I support them all the way. It's hard for them to keep the cost down and then keep in business because people aren't learning how to fly as much as they were back when I was learning. Hey, John, thanks. You're probably already gone. You said you got to go. Oh, not my parents' shop. Oh, it's a mom and pop shop. Okay. I just meant like a small business. Yeah, I would stay at PDK. You're going to get more flight time at PDK and at ATP than a small mom and pops. And, if you're a homebody and you want to be up in Michigan, I understand. I kind of did that when I was younger. I didn't want to leave my parents. So, anyway, I don't know, how about another 2 or 3 minutes and we'll call it quits. Any other questions, comments? You guys can buy my shirts. If you're watching this long, you can watch, but I got these pretty cool biplane ride shirts here. Good folk and old time biplane rides. You can look up my website at gobiplaneRides.com. And actually, you know what I'll do? I'm going to take this. And I built this edition a couple years ago. But so, like I said, I was on the cover of General Aviation News. I put on a really neat show in Springfield, Ohio in July. And the glare is kind of hurting it. But this is my Travel Air. This is my new standard. And this is Ted Davis. He's up in Wisconsin. He's a big barnstormer also. And I don't know. And then I was on the cover of this is called Dayton City Paper. So I put this event on. This was the first year. And the guy that wrote the article is right here. His name's Mark. And they took some really awesome pictures and wrote a really great story. But during the same year, they did this photo, and the guy had an art show over in Dayton, and he debuted that photo. But I will take you guys, if it doesn't cut out here. My hanger's really filthy, but I'm going to switch this around real quick. You guys probably seen my videos. So this is my new standard, and ask if they're still on here, they probably aren't, but they asked if I do my maintenance. No, I don't. I have a mechanic, his name's Matt. He's here quite a bit, and so he's doing the annual right now. This is a 1930 D25 new standard. Right now there's only 8 of these flying. And then this is a Rohnke Champ, which you guys probably seen. This is what I learned in, something just like this. Weighs about 750 pounds, and this is a very basic airplane. But this is, like I said, this is what I learned in something just like this. Okay. 65 horsepower. And if you guys are watch YouTube a lot, this is Peter Shripol's airplane. If you haven't seen this, look this kid up. Peter, and his last name is Sripol. But he's a model airplane kid that grew up. He would come to the little shows I used to put on. But this is his airplane he built, and he's flown it. And it is going to be at Oshkosh this year, because this is really what home built's about. It's all foam, fiberglass, but he built everything here. I mean, it's awesome. I've seen it fly. I thought I was watching the Wright brothers. I've done a couple of videos on YouTube here. It's called the $1 Pietenpol. You guys can look this up, but this is the oldest flying Pietenpol air camper in the world. Model A car engine, 40 horsepower Model A. Okay, and then here's my Travel Air. This is a Travel Air 4000, 1929, and his name is Ace. Ace is my signature piece aircraft, and Ace has made a lot of people happy, and a lot of people that follow me on Facebook knows Ace. Every show, Ace is almost there all the time. So, pretty cool. But the new standard, what makes the new standard unique, it holds 4 people. You guys can see here. There's 2 seats there, and then a bench seat here. It's the only 4-passenger open cockpit airplane that was certified. So that's what makes it cool. This is a Pietenpol Wing. My mechanic, Matt, he brought this over. We got to hang this up. It's just laying here. The weather's been so bad, I couldn't clear out the airplane or my hangar. But this is what a Pietenpol wing looks like, and this is what a lot of antique airplane wings look like. This is all wood here. You guys can see the spruce ribs, the spar. It's all spruce, okay? Got the metal straps there for your struts. But this is really kind of like the beginning of aviation. This is a 1929 design airplane. So, like I said, you guys are always asking, you know, what did I do to get into my job and different things like that. It's a lot of work. And then you got to have passion. You know, I live and breathe aviation, so that is why I do what I do. I just enjoy it, and it's not a job really, okay? Work's work, but hopping rides, going out and meeting a couple thousand people a year, actually a few thousand, that is not work at all. It's making people happy. It makes me happy. So you got to have a passion for it, and when it becomes passionate, it's so easy for you to succeed, okay? And that's really the little bit of advice I have, or whatever. And what's the foam airplane? Matt. Matt's messing with me. Yeah, Matt, you can give him my contacts. We can send pictures if he needs it or something like that. But tell him to build the airplane by plans. It flies better. But anyway, guys, it's 53 minutes. Too long. Thanks for hanging out with me here at the Dewey Drome. And hit the like, subscribe button if you watched it all. I appreciate you guys. This is my first time doing that. I really do. And Alex, it's a 350. It's a 300 really, 350. But it's what I fly. You guys leave comments, please. If you got questions, shoot them to me. All the people at Sun and Fun that I met that see my videos, thank you so much. And we'll go from there. Don't hesitate to contact me, okay? I'll try to help you guys out as much as I can. Yeah. Hey, thanks, Alex. And thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Until then, blue skies. Maybe.